Hello, I'm making this video to showcase the level design I worked on with my internship. We have the main path and the alternative path. The main path is the red one and the alternative path is blue. Main path, it means the direct route to the exit or fastest route. Optional path, it's off the beaten trail kind of path, so they increase the exploration of the level as well as paths to collectibles. Then we have orange areas where we have the predetermined sizes, and then we'll plonk them down and then make the interest point of the level around them based on those sizes. That's mainly where the enemies are going to be in the level. Lastly, we have these colors. Very light green is to mark where the collectibles are. The kind of turquoise minty green is interactable elements, so like spike traps, falling boulders, those kind of things. Blue is water, so it's just to show that, hey, there's water there. So the idea of the maze one is the player starts and then they're introduced to 3 doors and then one big locked door at the end. Behind each side door is a different maze that gets harder and harder in difficulty the closer it gets to the big door. And then the harder difficulty maze you do, the better loot you'll get. And if you do like all of them, then you'll get really good loot. To begin with, the first door is a basic maze because the player is most likely to go to the closest door to them. Therefore, it introduces the element of, hey, this level's about mazes. And then what you want to do is you want to go get these keys or pressure plates. The next tool we have is less of a traditional maze and more of a cave maze. There's areas where you can see the chest, but then you can't get to the chest. So then it means the player has to explore around. There's also areas where it's really tight. So the player might oversee it and not be like, oh, I can go through there because it's really tight. You know, it might just be like background elements. So they'll walk past it. And there's also an overlook area. Just a nice thing to show the player where they've been and look at where they haven't been. For the last maze, I took reference from Elden Ring because in the Elden Ring dungeons, they have flamethrowers at the end of the hall that will spew fire down the entire hallway and then stop, giving the player time to run into like a little hidey hole or crevice in the hallway. If when they go through, they follow the main path, they'll get to an enemy area that has arrow traps. So then it adds an extra layer of difficulty. They're fighting enemies, but there's also arrow traps trying to kill them as well. If they don't take the main path, they can go past the fire spewing trap and get another chest, and it unlocks more explorability to the level than just a straight line. The next level we have is the treasury level. The idea of this level is if player touches the gold, they die and have to restart the run. I start the level by introducing to the player that if they touch the gold, they die because they'll try cut over the little gold I have in the floor and then they'll die. So next time they'll be like, aha, I can't go there. They can then use that knowledge to attain a chest by dodging bits of gold and going around it. Carrying on from that, I show the player they can get around the fact that they die if they touch the gold via the pillars that are lying on top of the gold. Then show them that by using this mechanic and using the pillars, you can get to chests and collectibles. And then I introduce more difficult things. So instead of the pillars being right next to each other, there's like jumps, so you have to do parkour. Of course, the ones with more difficulty would yield better rewards as well. Next, we have the medieval courtyard. The courtyard, I wanted to split it into 2 different parts, each having different contrast to one another. So the start is more of a training area where like barracks area, and then after that, the garden, which gives good contrast between the green and the grey. I also took into account what the game Elden Ring does, where they'll show you the chest, but then they don't show you how to get there. So then to get to the chest, you have to do lots of exploring to find the right path. And then also rewarding the player more if they explore. So if they explore like in this area that you wouldn't normally go, I have some hidden areas dotted around. A good example of this is at the start of the level where the player has an overlook of some chests and some enemies down in like a valley, but they can't get there because there's a fence that they can't get around. So then they have to they have to go through the level and then explore and then eventually get to those locations for the chests. Also, I added an arena area, pretty common, but basically what it is when you fight all of the enemies, the gate will open and it will lead to a chest. The next area of the courtyard's the garden area, which is designed as an area where the player doesn't think they can go, and then they see like the occasional chest or enemy in the area, and they're like, "Oh, maybe I can go into that area." As well as the normal garden. To break up the garden, I added a hedge maze that the player can just go through and get a chest if they want to, as well as hidden areas the player can only get to via exploring. The last level I'm going to showcase is the Japanese rooms level. So I designed this level going off of the old Japanese house layouts you see, where it's a house, but it's been broken up and there's lots of garden elements that are surrounded by rooms and walls. Therefore, I wanted to design the start of the level based around this combination of garden elements and walls, creating miniature courtyard areas, and then transition into more of a sliding door maze where the player will hit the door and then it will move, revealing and hiding the exits. For the garden area, I went with small islands connected by stepping stones over the little rivers. The stepping stones also lead them to an alternative chest route that you can see in the background. For the bits around the gardens, I just wanted open walkways that they would have in those old houses. Toward the start of the level, the first room they go into, I'm introducing sliding door mechanic, so that gets them used to that mechanic. After the garden area, there's a big tea room that's overlooking a really cool interest point in the background while the player fights their way through the room. You can also go a little bit into the interest point to get to a chest. Lastly, expanding on the mechanic of the sliding doors to make a maze, where they'll hit a door, it might reveal the exit, but it would hide a chest, stuff like that. Thank you for watching. That was a brief overlook at the design process for some of the levels I made.